Well, hey again, everyone. It's Rob Ryder on the 6th of June, 2024, anniversary of D-Day, 1944. Appropriate topic. American Legion, United States Debt Collection Agent. Come to find out, if you read enough laws, or maybe don't read so many and just read the ones you need to, you can easily see, well, the American Legion, by law, is considered the United States. And the law that considers it the United States is a law about federal debt collection. And so then every place in this law where you will see the word United States, you can just put in American Legion. And so where it says the United States will do something, well, now the American Legion could do it because by the definitions of the law, the American Legion, because it's a federal corporation, is the United States. So we're going to look at all that and then actually look at what the law says. And, I don't know what we're going to do with it exactly, but my reason for doing it is to make it public, to add to the reason why, well, this is why the American Legion has to go and do what they're supposed to have already done and register an agent with your state, Secretary of State, or whatever agency it needs to be. And so all that needs to be figured out by the American Legion, and they have to do it. And until they do that, well, then their charter is, I won't say it's void, just suspended. They can't exercise any power or privilege that they have as the American Legion until they have done that. And they haven't done it. And here recently, I've contacted the national headquarters 3 times by email. I haven't heard back. And I contacted the Michigan American Legion 3 times by email. Haven't heard back. Pretty soon we're going to have to get the special forces involved and see if we can, coerce compliance with the law. That's for another day. Today it's just American Legion, United States Debt Collection Agent. Let me show you why and how. Hang on just a second. I guess before we move, I want to remind people that if you comment on a video and expect me to comment back, I cannot do it. If I try to comment to somebody's comment, both my comment and their comment disappear. I'm under some kind of house arrest by YouTube, and so I don't even try. But if you want to, you can try to get a hold of me at my email address, courtofrecord@aol.com. If you're asking me a question that requires an answer to the world, I'm not going to have it for you. But anyways, that's how you get a hold of me, courtofrecord@aol.com. So back to matters at hand. If we take a quick look at, this is out of Title 36, United States Code. Actually, I guess it's 12 Stat 1281. And it lists all the patriotic and national organizations. And, there's quite a list of them. And there's the American Legion. VFW is in here. American Vets is in here. A whole bunch of places in here. One place I saw that I hadn't noticed before was, come on now, where did you go? Oh, hang on a second. There it is, former members of Congress. They even gave themselves a federal corporation. So all of these that you see here are federal corporations, and because they are, they each have a charter. And then the American Legion's case, it says right there, federally chartered corporation. Well, it's in their charter. What's their purpose? Uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States. Well, that's good. Promote peace and goodwill among peoples of the United States and all the nations of the earth. Well, that's really good too. Preserve memories, such as today is D-Day. Cement the ties of comradeship born to service. And consecrate the efforts of its members to mutual helpfulness and service to their country. And consecrate, that's like... that's an ecclesiastic word. That's saints are made by being consecrated. Yes, I want you to consecrate my efforts for mutual helpfulness. And then who can be a member? And this is the way it was before the Trump Legion Act, where he got Congress to say, look, we've been at war really since December 7th, 1941. So in the new version, there's nothing after this. All these other sections are gone. Right? So, and because the United States has been at war since 1941, that was in 2019 was confirmed by Congress. Well, that made Trump a wartime president right then and there. He became wartime president. So there's no peace times since 1941, where there used to be. It's all considered one continuous war. And if you enlisted during that time, well, you're still enlisted unless you got an order from the president saying that you're not. I've been through this in enough other videos. You know that you're not, just go look at your paperwork. You don't have a discharge order. And if you actually do have a discharge order, it's going to have some kind of errors or omissions on it. I mean, I have a discharge order from the first time I got out, and when I went back, and then I went back in after 3 years. But I still had time left remaining that I had to serve. I didn't have one after all my time for service was up. So, anyways, so since 1941, we've been at war, and then these are the powers that Congress gave the corporation to use, such as to sue and be sued, and to do any act necessary and proper to carry out the purposes of the corporation. Now, again, the law we're going to look at says that that in that realm of that law, that the American Legion is the United States. So if you're suing and being sued, well, you're doing it as the United States. And do any other act necessary or proper as the United States to carry out the purposes of the corporation, well, that could include calling out the military. You're saying Washington, D.C. has been invaded by esquires who are impersonating as public officers, because none of those people have taken a proper oath of office. Could do all that stuff, but the problem is we get down to what the American Legion had to do first. As a condition of the exercise of any power or privilege granted by this chapter, the corporation shall file with Secretary of State or other designated official of each state the name and address of an agent in that state on whom legal process or demands against the corporation may be served. And, I've not found a state yet where you can find a listing for it. Really, that's all I was asking for at first. Well, who's the registered agent? Even from the American Legion, can't get an answer. Right? I mean, so who is the bottleneck of the information when it gets to the American Legion? Because I don't even know if this is getting to people like the commander or the adjutant and so forth. It could be it never gets out of the mailroom. Right? I mean, you only have to have so many certain places plugged up, and you can control all the information in and out of a frickin' agency of any kind. And so this is what we have to get fixed. Come hell or high water, right? This is our D-Day invasion. We have to get the American Legion to register their agents so that they can then be considered the United States in this particular act, which, as we'll see, it really, because it's in here, it says it's really everywhere. So let's just take a look at it. And I'm talking specifically, it's in Title 28 of the United States Code, which is the title for the judiciary. So this is what the court's following. Right? This is what the court said. In this Chapter 176, Federal Debt Collection Procedures, well, it gives definitions, general provisions, pre-judgment remedies, post-judgment remedies, and fraudulent transfers. Let's just take a quick look at some of this stuff. So, in general, except as provided in subsection B, the chapter provides the exclusive civil procedure for the United States or for the American Legion to recover a judgment on a debt, to obtain before judgment on a claim for a debt, a remedy in connection with such claim. To the extent that another federal law specifies procedures for recovering on a claim or a judgment for a debt arising under such law, those procedures shall apply to such claim and judgment to the extent those procedures are inconsistent with this chapter. So in other words, the other ones will rule If they're inconsistent, well, whatever it says is what's going to be taken as law. But as long as it doesn't say that, gives a different definition for the United States, then as we'll see, this law is going to define what they mean by the United States, and it includes federal corporations. Amounts owing other than debts, not a debt or a claim to an amount owing that is not a debt. Okay, so certain things aren't claimable. Well, that would make sense. Well, who's the counsel for the American Legion? Well, a United States attorney, an assistant United States attorney, designated to act on behalf of the United States attorney, or an attorney with the United States Department of Justice, or a federal agency who has litigation authority, and any private attorney authorized by contract made in accordance with some section of Title 31 to conduct litigation for collection of debts on behalf of the American Legion, the United States. All right, so the American Legion isn't going to be collecting its debt. It's going to be collecting the debts of the United States. And what's a debt? An amount that's owing to the United States on account of direct loan insured or guaranteed by the United States. An amount that is owing to the United States on account of a fee, a duty, lease, rent, all these things. Well, there's one fee that everybody seems to forget about. Where did I put that? Hang on just a second. In the Constitution, Article 1, Section 9, it talks about migration or importation of such persons as any of the states now existing shall think proper to admit, shall not be prohibited by Congress prior to the year 1808, right? 1808. But a tax or duty may be imposed on such importation, not exceeding $10 for each person. Now, the truth is that hardly anybody has actually immigrated to this country in the proper, in the proper method. Even so, if you go back and look at the records for Ellis Island and look at Ellis Island, I did a video on this some years ago. I have to find it again sometime. Ellis Island is actually part of New Jersey and part of New York. And so they had tickets to New York, but they were getting out in New Jersey. So they actually didn't go to New York, right? They didn't migrate or immigrate through the proper window. And people, more recently, so when they go to immigrate and they come in, at least based on one case, right? They get all done with the immigration stuff, and they gave the lady a middle name because she didn't have one before. So they took her father's name and gave it to her as her middle name. And then they threw away all of her medical records. Put them in the dumpster. Welcome to America. Just pointing these things out, right? This is, a lot of things are debts and taxes and things that need to be taken care of. So if that's the case, I want to pay my $10 to the United States, and I want to, what would be the proper term? Importation. I want to be imported into the United States. So, and real quick, like in my case, right, they changed the last letter on our name, Ritluski, used to be SKY, they changed it to SKI. Right? So they do all sorts of things to make the person coming into the country not the same person that left wherever it is they got here. It's like the proper person, are lost beyond the sea. But what does get here is your Social Security account. And then they start administering it for you. Anyways, that's probably too much sidebar stuff, but that's how it goes. Back to this, right? Debt. An amount that's owing the United States on account of a direct loan insured or guaranteed by the United States, amount that is owing to the United States on account of such. So I don't really know what all these things could be, but for instance, United States Department of Agriculture does loans, or at least guaranteed, or insures them, right? So does HUD. So all these mortgages are covered with that, and they all have security agreements involved in them, that's what they call your mortgage or your deed of trust. It'll say, that's what the title is, mortgage or deed of trust, but it'll say in there that it's a security agreement. So, it's an agreement that creates or provides a lien. So this has all been perpetrated that when you believe that you owe these things and you're making all these payments, but whoever you're making to isn't really passing them through to the people that they would go to. I just believe we can use this system with the American Legion, to file a complaint and get an answer. Because it's the United States. And here we go. 15. United States means a federal corporation. Well, that would be all those that we saw listed in Title 36. An agency, department, commission, board, or other entity, United States, or an instrumentality, United States. Now, the thing is, of all those things that could be, the only ones that have taken the proper oath for the office that they hold are the military. There's nobody working in an agency that has, or a department, and so there can't be a commission because an agency or department would have created the commission or the board or the entity. Whatever they are, unless they've taken a proper oath of office, they're not the United States. So, like the FBI, those people don't take a proper oath of office. They don't take the oath to satisfy the 6th article of the Constitution. And the oath they take has got to, the oath that they pretend to take has a unconstitutional religious test. So help me God. FBI, IRS, DOJ, whoever it is, they haven't taken a proper oath of office to satisfy the 6th article of the Constitution. Not your governor, not your state judges, not your secretary of state, not your attorney general. None of those people have. I'd even go so far as to say an amount that is owing the United States, right? The American Legion is the United States, then the members of the American Legion are the United States. So if I have something that's owed to me or so forth, I can go to the American Legion to act as my debt collection agent to get it. Now that debt may be a different department of the, you would say of the government. But we don't have anybody else. What we have, I think, on the other side is the military-industrial complex. Not the armed forces of the United States, but the thing that makes all the weapons for war and all the other shit. And they pretend to be the United States, but they're not. It's, United States of America. If anything, it's the democracy. It's the thing run by esquires with black robe priests that just pretend to follow the law, but they don't. It's the thing that a Congress some years ago said that this nation was founded on the Noahide laws. Right? What was that called? The Education Day, USA. I believe it was first Bush signed it into law, right? That this nation was founded on the Noahide laws. Well, that's bullshit. This nation was founded on the Constitution, friend. So, that's what we have to deal with. Enemies within. Effect on rights of the American Legion. This chapter shall not be construed to curtail or limit the right of the United States under any other federal law or state law. So, whatever the United States can do anywhere else, the American Legion can do for the United States. For these reasons, right? To collect taxes, collect fine, penalty, assessment, restitution, forfeiture, arising criminal cases. Now, that's right. So we don't have to file civil cases. We can file criminal cases because many criminal infractions have a fine or a penalty assigned to them. So that's what you're taking it to them for, is to collect the frickin' penalty. And who are you going to take it to? You're going to take it to the counselor for the United States, which was the United States Attorney. This chapter shall not be construed to supersede or modify any of the following. Right? We're not messing with any of this stuff. All we're saying is that the American Legion is the United States. The VFW is the United States. Future farmers are the United States. Right? All sorts of things are the United States. Now, they have to have in their charter that they can sue and be sued and da-da-da-da, but as long as it's in there, well, they could be doing this stuff too. Complaint, notice, writ, or other process required to be served, an action proceeding under the chapter shall be served according to federal rules and regulations. Okay, well, that's great. We don't really need to know this stuff anymore because that's what the counselor for the United States is going to do. Right? We just need to take the complaint to the counselor and let him deal with it. Nationwide enforcement. Any affidavit required of the United States by this chapter shall be made on information of belief and reliable, unreasonable, necessary, established, particular. Da, 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 da. I think this is where you use the AL 91 form, right? That you can't use that as a private person, but the American Legion could use it if they were properly registered as the United States. Okay, so United States District Court, criminal complaint. I, the complainant in this case, state that the following is true and correct, best of my knowledge and belief. Right, that we would fill this out and take it down the post and turn it in and let them run it up the flagpole until somebody shoots it down or agrees with it and does a some kind of investigation or something happens. But it's just an affidavit, right? So any affidavit required of the United States by this chapter may be made on information and belief. So I have to do a little closer thing and see, well, where in here does it say you need an affidavit because it says it's in this chapter somewhere. Procedure for United States Magistrate Judges, proceedings. You got the United States Marshal. See, now all these people, now it's not the United States Marshal, it's the American Legion's Marshal. Co-owned property. The remedies available to the United States American Legion under this chapter may be enforced against property which is co-owned by a debtor and any other person only to the extent allowed by the law of the state where the property is located. This section shall not be construed to limit any right or interest of a debtor or co-owner in a retirement system for federal military civilian personnel established by the United States. The term retirement system, federal military personnel, means pension or annuity system of more than one agency or from some or all such personnel of a single agency, blah, 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 blah. I think what they're talking about is like the military retirement fund, which has like $1.4 trillion of paid military retirement, been paid to a veteran but never received. It's gone into this account instead. Well, how could that be? 1.2 or 1.4 trillion. Well, it could only be because there's an error in the record and it should have gone to the vet, because I don't know any vets are going to have their money go to this account when they could have it in their pocket. So that's my point. Somebody's holding our money back. That's a debt owed to me because I've never been released from the military. That's been established now because Congress has said we've been at war since 1941. We never said it before, but we're saying it today. Well, it's retroactive back to 1941, and I've been a enlistee since 1941. Every other enlistee I know has been an enlistee since 1941. Therefore, we're all still in the military, and we're all still getting paid. And at age 60, you can retire and collect retirement. So, at age 60, they started putting money in my account for me. Something like that, I think, has happened. But they'll never show you the documents, so you can never get the stuff figured out. But maybe that'll change now if we can get the American Legion to do the one thing it needs to do, which is register its agent. The United States or the debtor may join as an additional defendant in any action or proceeding under this chapter. Any person reasonably believed to owe money. So whatever we need to, however many people they need to make is, again, I don't have to do this. I keep trying to think of this like, I got to go do this. No, I don't have to do it. The frickin' United States counselor is going to do it, or the counselor for the United States. He's going to do it. Discovery, okay, so now the American Legion can do discovery. You got your prejudgment remedies, so they write a letter, and that's all it takes to get paid. Right? That'd be a prejudgment remedy. We don't have to go to court. You could just pay the damn bill. and receivership and garnishment, and they have all these different ways to take people's money. Whatever it takes to get paid. All available to the American Legion. Post-judgment remedies. Judgment liens, enforcement judgments, execution, installment, discharge, garnishment, discharge. I don't think we need to worry about these. I think if you can get a judgment as the United States, you're going to get paid. That's like the national debt. I don't think the United States owes it. I think it's owed to the United States. Right? We lent all that money out, and then we've never gone back and collected any of it. Because none of these other agencies or departments are not of the United States. Their people don't have an oath of office. Right? They took an oath to their fucking labor union, for God's sakes. And finally, we get down here far enough, installment, garnishment, not much more to see. Then we got fraudulent transfers involving debts. Claim means a right to payment when there's not whether or not the right is reduced to judgment, liquidated, unliquidated, fixed. And, so it'd be really good for the American Legion to find out, does anybody else in the United States have a claim against Bertluski, Robert Allen? And they probably find out that when I left the military, or when they say I left the military, I didn't turn in my canteen cup. I got $2 debt. And until I pay that $2 debt, we're going to hold back everything else I had coming to me. That would be somebody's excuse, right? They checking boxes. The wrong box got checked. That's all it takes. Until you fix the record is going to keep happening to you what the record's already made happen to you. If you don't believe that you're being treated right, you got to change the record, because they're not going to do it. And this is the part. They've concealed how we go to make changes to records. And they offer these ways to do it that take years and years and years and are unsuccessful, while they have other ways written in laws that we could use, but they won't let you use them. Right? Because the information I'm talking about is all private. They call it personal identity information, PII. And all that information is supposed to be for veterans, or, because technically a veteran is anybody who's been in more than 30 days on active duty. You're a veteran. They may haven't even changed it since then. Right? So, saying you're a veteran covers everybody. In fact, the American Legion says that active duty military can be members of the American Legion because, they fit the criteria. So, okay, hey, sorry about that. The phone rang. I kind of lost my train of thought, but I went to look to see, I think we got everything covered that I wanted to show. I'm not planning to be, or claiming to be an expert in any of this. I'm just pointing out the facts that according to Chapter 176 of Title 28, which is in the Judiciary Code, right? United States Code, Federal Debt Collection Procedure, the United States means a federal corporation. And so everywhere in here you see United States, you could, say it's one of the federal corporations. And here they are. There's all sorts of them, but each of these has their own charter, so you've got to go find their charter, which, is what each of these sections is. If you went to this section, that would be their charter, and it would tell you what they need to do. And it would be something like this. It's for the American Legion that says, well, this is what you need to do. You need to, as a condition to exercise any power or privilege granted by this chapter, the corporation shall file with Secretary of State or designated official of each state the name and address of an agent in that state on whom legal process or demands against the corporation may be served. Who is it? In Michigan, I need to know. Because technically, because they're doing this, they shouldn't even be able to sell the little pins they sell. Because that's a privilege to be able to make that pen, and make those pins and so on. Anything with the logo on it, basically. So, And I'm not blaming the people in the American Legion now. I know you had nothing to do with this, right? I'm just pointing out to you what it says, and now you're going to have to change because you can't stay the way you are. No matter how much that hurts, you're going to have to do it. So quit listening to the Esquires and go freaking fix your paperwork, please. Very good. Those doughboys did it for us. They put all this together back in 1919 to make the American Legion have a voice at the table with all the other bits and pieces of the government. And not just the American Legion. It was for veterans to have a voice. And when you look at the way that the American Legion is set up, and it could be these other ones also, but I'm just going with the American Legion because what's the one I could join? I couldn't be in the VFW. American Legion will take all vets. So, so they worked a deal with Congress to get a charter. And, so what's the charter mean? Well, like in England, if the City of London has a royal charter. So the king and the queen cannot go to the City of London because it's in their charter unless they ask permission. Right? And so dukes and barons, all these people have charters to have their property and so forth. It has conditions about what they have to do and so forth. But the reality is it's a royal charter. So if you're not doing what it says, well, that's a violation of law. And so right now the American Legion is in complete violation of the laws of the United States because it did not do what its charter told it to do. You don't have a choice. It was an order from Congress. The people have spoken. So please, let's get it done. Okay, you all have a great day. And if you know some way to get the American Legion to do what they need to do, please use it. And the way we can tell is, somewhere there'll be a listing of it. Like here, it's in a particular office of the state where all businesses have to register. And there is a registration, but it's outdated since 1981, says it was dissolved. But on there, it has, the thing that needs to be on there, which is the name of the frickin' registered agent. Need registered agents. Okay,